Welcome to the first pre-recorded edition of This is Sporta podcast. I know it's been about a month, but work, vacation, and general life gets in the way. And because I'm not paid to do this, the podcasting kind of gets set off to the side until I can come back and do it. So if you notice, it is pre-recorded. That is not a miscommunication. This one is pre-recorded. I am in my car. I am getting ready for lunch and hockey tonight. So, but it's going to be a short edition. Coach Z isn't with us right now. I haven't been able to communicate with him lately, but congratulations, Coach, on your Ducks Game Day Breakdown channel. It's doing phenomenally in terms of viewers and everything else. I can't wait to get you back on the show and talk hockey. But let's talk, again, been away for a month. A lot to talk about. Initially, first and foremost, I really want to talk about the NFL kickoff 2 weeks ago. We're going on to week 3 right now, and my Rams are 2-0. We do play the Bucks this week, and I believe we probably take an L this week. That Bucks defensive front seven is nasty. Tom Brady is ageless and looks as good as ever. Fantastic being 44 years old. Gives me hope, but then at the same time, I don't do the TB12 workout, and I like strawberries, so I don't think I could go that route. But the Bucks are playing really well. Again, Super Bowl favorites. The Chiefs had a really tough game this past week against Baltimore. Baltimore pulled it out on a very fun game, which brings me to the league itself. This season so far, the 2 weeks that we've played, very exciting games most of the time. There have been a couple blowouts, but other than that, the games have been really fun to watch. High scoring. It's different. It feels different this year, and it could be because there's fans in the stadiums, and I do believe home field advantage is back in that aspect. Of course, being in the Pacific Northwest, the Seahawks garner a lot of attention up this way, and there's a lot going on right now in that realm with Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson. I don't pay too much attention to the Seahawks, mainly because I don't think of them as a hardcore rival to my Rams. I think they're a divisional rival, but there's not that hate like Pittsburgh, Baltimore. You know what I mean? When the Seahawks were good, the Rams weren't. When the Rams were really good, the Seahawks weren't. And now they're both kind of really good, and their games are fun to watch, but it's not super intense. And that's good. You know what I mean? I don't want fighting in the stands like Raider fans. But I hear the talk with Seahawk fans, and I don't get too much into it. If you do really want a good Seahawks podcast, listen to Sports on Tap Seattle. Sammy Jajor and his brother George lock up the Seattle market, and they do really well with their podcasting, getting the Seahawks and Mariners stuff out there. But Pete Carroll made a snide comment about Russell Wilson doing more to help them win. Listen, man, your team was up at halftime, 24-9, and you lost that game. That's shitty coaching. It is what it is, man. Like, yes, Russ can help. The defense can help. Your defense lets you down, allowing those points to be scored. And your offense lets you down by not controlling the ball more and scoring more points. It was a total team loss, but a lot of that blame has to go on your coaching staff and you yourself, Pete Carroll. Do better. Or do worse. I don't care. The Rams, yeah, do worse. The division looks tough, man. Other than the Seahawks, I believe the Cardinals are undefeated. I believe the Rams are undefeated. I believe the Niners are currently undefeated. The NFC West, I really believe right now, is the toughest division in football. And there could be a scenario where, all these teams are, I don't know, 11-6 because there's 17 games this year. and one of them misses out on the playoffs. Two of them miss out on the playoffs. It's the toughest division. And so when people are, we got Russell Wilson and we're locked up for the playoffs, you're not. The Cardinals made tremendous strides. The Niners are healthy this season, and Jimmy Garoppolo is playing better. The Rams finally addressed their weak link at quarterback and got Matt Stafford, who, when protected, I believe is one of the best quarterbacks in the league in terms of what he can do. Strong arm, fairly accurate, and can game manage when necessary. I'm obviously, being the Rams homer, I think they're going to win the division. But if I look at it without bias, it's wide open. And I think that's one thing I do better than most fans and podcasters. I don't allow my bias to get in the way of really evaluating a team. When I look at the NFC West, all four teams have gotten really better, betterer. They upgraded positions they needed to do. The Seahawks went out and got Gerald Everett as a tight end, a big loss for the Rams. They went out and got the Rams, I believe it was a quarterback's coach. He's now the Seahawks offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron. Great play caller. The defense locked up Jamal Adams. You still got Carlos Dunlap there. The Cardinals went out and got J.J. Watt. They got Chandler Jones coming back healthy. They got Kyler Murray, who's only going to get better. They went out and got A.J. Green to pair with DeAndre Hopkins. The Rams, again, addressed their weak link at quarterback. They did lose a couple defensive stars to the Browns, but it doesn't seem to have hurt them as much as I thought it would. The 49ers are coming back healthy. In my mind, I believe unbiasedly that the 49ers will win this division. I just think they're the most consistent and a well-rounded team. Now, that's not to say that they won't get injured and they won't have a slip-up, something like that. In my mind, it's probably the Niners, Rams, Seahawks, kind of like right there. You know what I mean? And then the Cardinals right underneath them. It's a tough division to figure out, but it is anyone's game. It's up for grabs. Again, I want the Rams to win. Unbiasedly, I think the 49ers have the best chance to win. In the NFC West or East, the Cowboys come back with Dak healthy, and he looks really, really good. They took a tough loss to the Bucs the first game of the season, but it was to be expected. And they played better than a lot of people thought they would. So I have high hopes for the Cowboys. I do have Zeke in fantasy, I'm going to be honest with you, and he's let me down week 1 because they went more passing, but they were playing from behind. So, but I do think Zeke is still, when used properly, is a top 5 back in this league. He runs well, he blocks well, and that blocking was proved game 1 without Zach Martin. Zeke was picking up the blitz really well, and he was blocking for Dak better than I've ever seen him block. He catches the ball out of the backfield. He is a true every down back and can do everything that you need him to do. The Redskins, everyone felt with their defense, were really a quarterback away, and they went out and got Fitzmagic in the offseason, and he's already injured. And Tyler Heineke is the backup. I don't know much about Heineke other than the games he played last season. I still think they're a quarterback away. I don't think they're winning the division. The Giants look like they're still a mess. I'm not even going to comment on them. The Eagles' offense has been pleasantly surprising. Jalen Hurts is their quarterback. Has played great the first couple games. This division could come down to the Cowboys and Eagles, as it has been for the past few years. So I do think that the Cowboys, if Dak stays healthy, pull off the division win. and get to the playoffs and maybe take even a first round win. The NFC South, I think, is the Bucs. I don't think Atlanta's that great. Carolina with Sam Darnold, I think, is solid, but they're not there yet. They can pull some upsets. I just don't see them winning the division. The Saints with Jameis Winston, I'm still on the fence about. I think Jameis Winston is still doesn't have the brain processing power to make proper decisions consistently. He's a strong arm quarterback. He'll get 40 touchdowns, but he'll throw 30 interceptions. I wanted to see Sean Payton kind of cut that down, and he's played well. But I want to see it over the span of a season, because I liked Jameis coming out of college, but up until this point, he's proven that he's a bad decision maker. So until I see a consistent season of him not making those decisions, I'm not putting the Saints in the running for the division, despite having Kamara and Michael Thomas when he's healthy. So the Bucs will take that division. The NFC North is interesting because Aaron Rodgers hasn't played phenomenal, and I don't know if he's doing that on purpose. Aaron Jones, the running back, saved my fantasy last week, thank God, but has proved that he is worth the money that he was paid, if not more. I still think they're the favorite in that division. I think Minnesota is really good. I don't trust Kirk Cousins with prime spots. You know what I mean? The Bears, we'll see, man. With Justin Fields taking the ropes, I think he's going to be on a short leash. They might throw Andy Dalton back in there. But the Bears' defense is still relatively good. Their offense needs work, and they're kind of hoping Justin Fields is that spark that lights them. And I hope he is. I'd like to see that Bears offense come to life. And the Detroit Lions are the Detroit Lions. They have Jared Goff, who is good, but he's not great. His decision-making, even with the Rams, was slow at processing the decisions. He made the right decision. He just made it late. You know what I mean? Like, he saw it late. He's not fast. So, Niners, Bucks, Packers, Cowboys. Niners, Bucks, Cowboys, Packers. I want to throw my Rams in there, but I can't do that right now as a division winner. We'll see as the season progresses. On the AFC side, AFC North, man, the Ravens, I like the Browns, but the Ravens, I think, are just a little bit better. People still can't stop Lamar Jackson, and he's only getting better. The Steelers, they're not quite there. They're just under the Browns, in my opinion. I think the Browns are above the Steelers, but below the Ravens. This is a big year for Baker Mayfield to prove, hey, man, like, I really want a big contract. This might be the year that he earns that contract. The Bengals are still the Bengals. Joe Burrow is a solid quarterback. He just doesn't have the help. So, Ravens. In the AFC East, Miami's not as good as people thought. Tua hasn't been the quarterback people thought, but he's still young. Give him time. I like Buffalo in this situation. Josh Allen is an MVP-esque quarterback. He was in the running last year. I think he should have been the MVP last year for what he did with Buffalo. Buffalo's defense is pretty solid. The Patriots with Mac Jones aren't the Patriots of old, and they may never be again. They'll be a formidable team in this division, but I think Buffalo is head and shoulders above the rest. Buffalo and Baltimore. In the AFC South, this has been a shit show. We all expected the Jags to be the Jags. Rookie quarterback, rookie coach, horrible last season. They're not there. They're missing pieces. Tank this season. Get Trevor Lawrence a top wide receiver. The Houston Texans. The Deshaun Watson thing still isn't settled. Tyrod Taylor, I think, is a consistent quarterback, doesn't turn the ball over, but he's now injured. Carson Wentz hasn't returned to his MVP form. We know that he's talented. We know that he has the tools. They're just not being put to use, and I don't know why. I love Phillip Rivers, and he did stuff with that offense last season that I thought was really, really great, and I thought Carson Wentz would build on that, and he hasn't. And the other team is, let's see, Colts, Jags, Houston. There's always one in that division that I don't remember. Colts, Jags, Texans, Titans. I think the Titans take that division. Defensively, they're solid. And once they get some time together, they'll be better. Ryan Tannehill, I've never been sold on Ryan Tannehill. I've always been kind of considered him a game manager with big play ability. But with Derrick Henry, that's all you need. And then he's got two solid receivers with Brown and Julio Jones now. I do think they take that division. Titans. Buffalo, Baltimore, Titans. Buffalo, Baltimore, Tennessee. Do it by city. Now in the AFC West, this is where it gets interesting. The Raiders are playing phenomenal football. And if you don't know, I'm a huge Derek Carr fan. I know a lot of people aren't, but he is consistently in the top 10 in terms of quarterback categories. He's very, very good. He's very competitive. He wants to win. And I like Derek Carr. I also like the Raiders. Not as the team, but I like the way they're playing. I like the way they're set up. I'm not sold on Gruden as coach. I think he's away from the game too long. I don't think he's that guy. And a lot of people do. Oh, give him time. Signed a huge contract. Fuck, man. Let him. I hate that he's back. I just don't think he's good. His Super Bowl was won on the back of Tony Dungy's team. And other than that, he hasn't been solid. You know what I mean? Like, he's not fantastic. Okay? Then you got the Broncos, who quarterback issues. Teddy Bridgewater's cool, but I don't think, again, I don't think he's that guy to get him over the hump. The Chargers look really good. They took a loss to the Cowboys in a very hotly contested game. I think Justin Herbert is a fantastic quarterback. He's got solid receivers, a good running game, and that defense is solid. Problem is, Kansas City is in this division, and Kansas City hasn't looked good this season. They almost lost to the Browns in game 1, and I think they should have. And then they lost to Baltimore in game 2. Their defense is not showing up. Patrick Mahomes hasn't been Patrick Mahomes. And this could be a fall off for Patrick Mahomes. Not big fall off, but to where Patrick Mahomes comes down to earth a little bit. Not like, oh, he's going to just throw 20 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and he's going to be mediocre or average. He will still be better than most quarterbacks. He will still be an elite quarterback. But I don't see him throwing 50, 55 touchdowns. I don't see him throwing 2 interceptions. It's going to be a season where we probably see Mahomes throw for 40 touchdowns and have 15, 16 interceptions. But that defense needs to step up. This division, I'm still out on, but if I had to go right now, I'd have to go with the Chiefs based on previous years. If I go with my gut, I really think the Raiders might win this division this year, but they started off 2-0 last year and ended 8-8. So, gut tells me Raiders. Common sense right now tells me Chiefs based on history. Chargers are right there, and they could sneak in. I just don't know. I don't know. But I'm going to go Chiefs based on history. So, Buffalo, Baltimore, Tennessee, Kansas City. I think those are your division winners this year. We'll get into wild cards and playoffs and stuff as that moves along in the season. We'll get to it. Super Bowl predictions, all that great stuff. But I wanted to move into hockey. Hockey season is starting up. The Seattle Kraken released their jerseys, hottest selling jersey in history. I gotta admit, I'm not a Kraken fan. I'm not gonna be here and be like, oh yeah, go Kraken. Like, I live in Washington. I live near Seattle. I don't have a connection to the city like I did with Vegas, hence why I jumped on the Golden Knights bandwagon. When Vegas started taking deposits, I was there. I was there for the birth of the Golden Knights. Like I'm here for the birth of Seattle, but I've spent time in Vegas. I lived in Vegas. I have history in Vegas. I really don't have history in Washington. I've been here 5 years, going on 6, and I just don't feel that connection to the Kraken like I did with the Golden Knights. Now, I will go to games and I will support the team because they are a local team and they deserve people's support, and I love hockey. Their roster doesn't look great. It looks very average, but they built from the goaltender forward. In the draft, they got Dreiger. They went and picked out Grubauer in free agency. So 2 solid goaltenders. Their defense looks really good with Alexiak. They grabbed the Fleury brothers, Hayden and Cale. They got Giordano, who is a veteran in this league and who I think should be the first captain, but I don't think they're going to do a captain in the first year, and I'm okay with that. Vegas did it for 3 years until they decided Mark Stone was that guy. And I don't think Giordano is going to have the tenure here like he did in Calgary. So if you give him the C and he retires next year, or they move on from him at the trade deadline, it's kind of a loss, right? But he is a solid presence in that defensive line and in the locker room. So great leadership there. I'm not sold on the forwards. They did get Gord. They did get Schwartz. They picked up Schwartz. I think they have talent. I just don't think it's high-end talent. But I'm excited. The city of Washington, or the city of Seattle, the state of Washington, the whole Pacific Northwest is ready for this. They want the Canucks rivalry. They want the Vegas rivalry. And while I don't think they're going to do what Vegas did in their first year, the Pacific Division is rather weak, and they could come in second. Possibly first if Vegas has a down year and goes on a losing streak. We could see some really good stuff from Seattle this year. Again, my Golden Knights, I still feel they are a first-line center away from greatness. And I love Chandler Stevenson. I just don't believe he's a first-line center to pair with Pacioretty and Stone. Eichel, I think, would be that guy, but we know what's going on with that, and if you don't, we'll talk about it later on another podcast. I'm excited for hockey season. I play hockey. I play defense. I do play offense occasionally, but I am excited. This is the time of year that really gets me excited. Football's starting. Baseball's ending. We're getting into the playoffs, and if you know me, I'm not into baseball until playoff time, or if it's my Dodgers. Hockey season is getting ready to start. The Premier League soccer season is in swing. So is the Champions League and all these other cups. The F1 season is still going, and I love Formula One. I don't talk about it on the podcast often because I don't know too many people that are, but I do know a few that are into Formula One, and I will try to get them on the show to talk Formula One racing. So I am excited. This time of year is always the best for me. Sports wise, it's great. But hockey wise, season's getting ready to kick off. There were big moves. There were big changes for personnels. Preseason starts, I think, this weekend. I'm excited. If you get a chance, attend a hockey game live. My favorites going into the season, I think, are going to be Vegas. I think Tampa Bay, even though they lost some players, I think are still very good. I think the Islanders are still really good. I think Colorado is still really good. Those would be my 4 going forward. Colorado, Vegas, Tampa Bay, and the New York Islanders. Kind of going forward. The Canadian teams, I know my Canadian fans feel dissed there, but I swear to God they're not. Vancouver's just inconsistent. One year they're good, one year they're not, and they have talent. Don't get me wrong, Besser, Horvat, Peterson. I think these guys are really good. just need consistency. Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers, I'm not sure of. Like, other than McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, you don't have a solid goaltender. The defense is okay. It's not great. And I don't know. Like, I don't know what I'm getting with them. Same with the Calgary Flames. I'm not big on Calgary. The Toronto Maple Leafs, they can do great all year. Get first place President's Trophy, and they'll burn out in the playoffs, which is a shame because they are super talented. Mitch Marner, Austin Matthews, I think are great talents. Again, I think they'll have a great regular season. I just don't think they'll make it to the Cup. I don't think they have the winning mindset that it takes. And I hope that changes, man, because I would love to see Toronto take one home, take home a cup and shut a lot of people up. Montreal, I think, is going to come back down to earth. Carey Price having surgery. I don't think he'll be back in time for season. Cole Caulfield, I think, will have a great season going in this year. But Montreal, to me, just isn't it. I am excited to see Kirill Kaprizov come back to the Minnesota Wild. He did sign a 5-year, essentially $9 million a year contract. The kid is fun to watch. He is one of my must-watch when I talk hockey. There's guys I think you really got to see. Kirill Kaprizov is one of those guys. Just like I think if we're talking offense, Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews. I think Sidney Crosby is still one of the best in the game. Defensively, Victor Hedman, Shea Theodore, an offensive defenseman, is great on the puck and with a wicked shot. Alec Martinez. I am thoroughly excited for this hockey season and to see where things go. So there's that. Baseball's coming to an end. Wild cards are yet to be set, and for the AL, I think is huge. Between the Red Sox, the Yankees, the Blue Jays, the Mariners, and the A's. 5 teams vying for 2 spots. And it's going to come down to the final week of the season. And it's going to be great because the Yankees play the Red Sox. The Yankees play the Blue Jays. The Red Sox play the Yankees and the Orioles. Blue Jays play the Orioles and then the Sox, I think. Or Blue Jays play the Orioles and then the Yankees. A's got the Mariners and then Astros. Mariners play A's and Angels. I think that Mariners have the easier path to a wild card victory because they've been fairly dominant against the A's this season, and they've been fairly dominant against the Angels, who haven't been great. But the Mariners, I don't think are going to make noise in the playoffs. I think if they get the wild card, I do think that there will be a solid, obviously the one-off game, they can absolutely win. But I think in a best-of series, I just don't think they have the talent to win a best-of. Especially if they have to go against the Astros or the Sox, the Indians, or even Tampa Bay. But I do think they have the talent to get the wild card. And for that fact, I do think they take the second wild card. The first wild card, I think, is going to go to Boston. I think they're going to have a great series against the Yankees, and then they're going to play Baltimore, and I think they're going to beat Baltimore fairly easily, which leaves Toronto, New York, and Oakland A's on the outside looking in. Now, the A's, I would say, have a great chance, but they do play the Astros, and the Astros could wrap up the division by then, but I don't think the Astros want to see the A's in the playoffs, so I think they will play enough until the A's are eliminated. In the NL, the Dodgers have the first wild card, and they're, I think, a game behind first place for the NL West. I think they take first place coming to the end of the season, and I think the wild card will go to the Giants and San Diego. San Diego. It's Spanish for a whale's vagina, I think. German for a whale's vagina. Vagina, German. Ron Burgundy, Anchorman, great movie. Okay, yeah, so, sorry, scatterbrain. I do think that is the case. I do think that the Dodgers will end up taking the division, and the Giants and San Diego will get the wild cards. And out of that, I do think the Dodgers are probably the best team in the NL, and I think they prove it during the playoffs and they go into the World Series. On the AL side, I think it's tough. I think Tampa Bay is really good. I think the Astros are probably the most well put together team, and I think the Astros go on. I think we have a Dodgers-Astros World Series, and I think it's huge, and I honestly couldn't tell you unbiasedly who I think would win that. Obviously, I'm a Dodger fan. I want to say the Dodgers would win, but I think it would be a very good series with no winner. I think it's literally 50-50. I don't think there would be a favorite going in my mind. I think both teams hit really well. I think both teams have really good pitching. I think it would be 50-50. It would really be a toss-up. So baseball, football, basketball is getting ready to come back into effect. Basketball is kind of for me. LeBron James went back to the 6. Ben Simmons isn't showing up for training camp. Nothing really going on. KD nixed a move for Ben Simmons, sending Kyrie to Philly. KD said he wasn't having it. Apparently, allegedly. I'm not 100% sure. I just read the headline. I don't pay attention to basketball really until after Christmas, and owing to really the Lakers. Or teams that are fun to watch, like Golden State with the Splash Bros. I'm excited to see them again. I'm excited to see the Bulls with Ball and Levine and all those guys. Like, there were some moves this season, in the offseason, that I thought could do really well for the game of basketball and the NBA in general. So I'm excited to watch after Christmas. Maybe All-Star break, I might wait. I don't know. Like, basketball to me, like, I can't watch the game fully on TV. Same with baseball. It to me is just boring, which is weird because I love soccer and I can watch soccer all day. But to each his own. Formula One, I believe the Italian Grand Prix is this week. I believe it's the Italian. Might be the Hungarian. Dutch? I don't know. Anyway, it's a great championship race. If you have a chance, check out Formula One racing. I personally like it. I don't like NASCAR. I'm not a NASCAR fan. I'm not an IndyCar fan. I love Formula One. I love Le Mans. So Formula One is exciting. Lewis Hamilton has been a driver that I've watched for years. I think he's phenomenal. Max Verstappen is a guy who I've watched over the past couple of years. And he's probably my second favorite driver next to Lewis Hamilton, just because I've watched Lewis Hamilton for so long. But I like Lewis Hamilton. I like Max Verstappen. And right now they're in a championship battle for the ages for F1. And it's exciting, man. You'll never know what happens in these races. If you're not into watching it, there's a Netflix series called F1 Formula One. I think it's Drive to Survive or something like that. It's a great series on Netflix. If you're not into watching Formula One, watch that series, and then it might change your mind. A lot of good young talent in the F1 game. Lando Norris, Pierre Gasly. It's hard to be like, oh man, I don't like that guy, or I like that guy. Like Daniel Ricciardo, his personality is great. He's an Australian driver. I believe he drives for McLaren right now. I think he's a McLaren driver. But he's fun to watch. His attitude is great. Drive to Survive, I think is what it's called. Formula One. Just look up F1. Check it out. It's great. But yeah, like I said, I didn't want to make this too long. It's been about 35 minutes. See the Lids hat, Lids sweatshirt, so you know where I work. Go to Lids, support your shops, get some hats, get some embroidery done. As you can tell, I load my hat up all the way around, essentially, and even on the inside. So, you know what I mean? Like, we can do work. We can do it on any hat in store. You have your own hat, bring it in, we'll get it done. Support your local Lids, get some hats, rock some stuff. Support business. It is a tough time for everyone now. with everything with the pandemic. But hey, man, like, it never hurts to support your local business, or even shops that, like Lids, have about 1,000 stores nationwide and in Canada. Every dollar helps every business. So let's get out there and really support. As for me, I will see you guys next week. Hopefully, unless life gets in the way again. I will hope that it doesn't. But I love you guys. I promise I will try to get better. I will reach out to Coach Z and some other people and see if we can get some good roundtable discussions going. Until then, guys, this is Sporta. Thank you for tuning in and watching this pre-recorded video. So let's go Rams, right? We got the Bucs